Hi everybody, it's Andrew here from Always Andrew Wedding Design, and welcome back to my A to Z of wedding planning. This week I wanted to talk to you about timings, so I'll just wait a few minutes on the off chance anyone wants to join me live. So how's everyone's week's been? I've had a bit of a cold again. It's that time of the year, I think everyone gets cold, so again forgive me if I'm a bit sniffly. Yeah, and it's a very cold, dark evening here, isn't it? And I've realised that I've ordered my Sainsbury's delivery, which might come any moment, so I'm hoping I can do this before the Sainsbury's come. Now I've just had a text. Oh, that's gone. Brilliant. So let me get on with this week's A to Z wedding planning, and we're talking about T for timings. So timings are quite a big thing to think about. And sometimes you might want to leave it a bit late and think about it right at the end, but really I think timings you need to write from the very beginning. When you're looking at venues, when you're thinking about locations, you need to kind of think about what time is your wedding going to take place, and then kind of how everything all sits in with sort of what that time is you've chosen for your wedding. So kind of a few things you need to be right off the bat thinking about. Really be flexible. Building contingency, allow times to go different ways, as it were. Allow for moving your guests from A to B. Your kind of the length of your guest list will make quite a big difference. And do think about allow for and think about things run over, because often with weddings they do, like moving the guests or the service, how long these little things take. So do kind of allow a bit of contingency time in your wedding, in the sort of timings of your day, to allow for kind of things maybe not going as you planned them. That does happen. And also do talk to your suppliers and discuss with them kind of what they know weddings, they've done them all before, so really have a chat, long chats with your suppliers about kind of what times they need for certain elements, and that sort of thing. And then ultimately kind of on the day itself, really don't worry, just let the day flow, as it were. If you've kind of thought it out before the big day, then you really shouldn't need to worry too much on the day itself. So things to consider when you're thinking about your timings of your wedding day is sort of running it sort of from start to finish. Sometimes I think it's quite worth actually almost working backwards. So what time do you have to be out of your venue? How much time do you want for like the dancing and that sort of part of the day? And then as you're kind of working your way back, you can kind of then work out like what's a good time for your ceremony to start. So if you know you want like a band normally pay for, depending like a couple of hours. Are you going to want a band end and DJ? So are you going to want a bit more evening time, that sort of thing? And then think, what's your service like in terms of your dinner? So is it are you having a very sort of formal 3-course sit down meal? How many guests? That's going to affect the length of time it takes to serve the meal, that sort of thing. So then you've got another few more hours there. And then the speeches can really impact a lot in the terms of the timings of your evening celebration, because how many are you having, when do you want to have them, and also no matter how long your speeches, the people giving the speeches say their speeches are, I always say allocate a bit more time. I'd even go as far as if they say they're going to be a 5-minute speech, allow 10 minutes. People generally do tend to talk for longer than they think they're going to talk. It's rare that they sit down and actually time their speeches. It can be quite a sort of a last minute thing. Someone will be they've put their speech together and they haven't even had time to practice it, or even if they have practiced it, once they get kind of the live performance, as it were, that will affect the length of their speeches. So kind of really, I always say allocate a good amount of time for your speeches. Generally, if you say 3 people are giving speeches, I would say at least 30 minutes. But yeah, if you've got more, or if you want to do it at different parts of the day, sort of like in between courses, that sort of thing, then kind of really sort of have a sit down, talk with your caterer about it, and just so they know when kind of service fits in and out around the speeches, and allow ample time for that. And then when you're sort of thinking for like your, again, if we're working backwards, how long do you want for your drinks reception? Do you have lots of photos that need to be taken? Have a chat with your photographer about when would be good times to go off and take your portrait sessions. They might want to do sort of golden hour shots. Again, that depends on the time of year that you're having the wedding. So allocate time into your schedule for things like that. So if you're having, normally a standard drinks reception is about 1.5 hours. But if you know you've got a lot more guests and you've got to transport people different locations, as it were, you might want to pad in a bit of extra time there. And then in terms of your ceremony time, just so if you've worked your way backwards, you kind of know like the absolute latest you can start your ceremony. That's not to say you can't start it a bit earlier, again kind of giving yourself a bit more flexibility and time there. Also think about kind of when you're thinking about that ceremony time, what time do you want to start that day, is where is the wedding happening, and are the guests got a long way to travel? Are they coming for the whole day? Is there time for them to get there? Are they checking into hotel rooms and that sort of thing? That comes in, there's kind of a weird sort of time, sort of around sort of between 12 and 1, where maybe guests can't check into hotel rooms, so they might have to go to the ceremony first. So you might want to have a little think about that. I always think 2 o'clock is quite a nice ceremony start time. It's not too early, it's not too late. It means guests can have like breakfast, potentially a light lunch before they get to the wedding, and it means you're not having to feed them as much. If you do decide to go for an early ceremony, I would say like have lots of snacks and foods available, again, because they might have had to miss their lunch. And then bear in mind your sort of timings in the morning in terms of like if you're having hair and makeup. If you've got a big bridal party, really allocate enough time in the morning. Bear in mind the earlier the ceremony time, the earlier start time for you in the morning that you'd have to get all your hair and makeup done. And I've heard of sort of 5-6 a.m. start times, so do have a little think about that. You might want to, if you've got a big bridal party, maybe get a bigger hair and makeup team, just so that you're not necessarily all having to get up some ridiculous time in the morning, and if it becomes a very long day. And then in the morning, do remember to kind of allocate a little bit of time for just getting in and out of your dress. Is it buttons, is it a zip, that sort of thing. It can take longer getting into different dresses. Do have a little rehearsal beforehand, to make sure that so you know how long it takes. When girls have got like their dresses done and you're all made up, things can take a little bit longer than you might expect, so it's always worth considering that. So I've done a kind of reverse thinking about your wedding, because I think like, so if you work backwards, you can kind of think how much you've got to fit into the day, but sort of either way, just kind of really think about those points. And as I said at the beginning, really kind of be flexible, build in that contingency time for you to sort of be able to kind of, if things don't necessarily go as planned, things maybe run over a little bit, you've kind of built in a bit of contingency time into your wedding day. Allow for moving your guests around, allow for things running over, just on the day itself kind of chill out, be relaxed, and hopefully by that point you've handed the sort of the running of the day over to someone else, so you don't really need to worry about it, and you can just sort of take time to enjoy the whole day, and take it all in. And sort of the last thing I would say in terms of the timings of your wedding day is actually just do that. Take a little bit of time out with your new husband or wife, and make sure that you've got time together to just really kind of take in the moments and really enjoy it all. That can be quite a nice part of the day. I did do a very long blog post about this for Bridal Musings, so I will pop that in the comments for you all, so if you want to know more information. And again, as always, if any questions, feel free to get in touch. It's been lovely chatting.